Peace and blessings, everyone. I want to come back on here and I want to talk about Mercury and Scorpio. Mercury and Scorpio. Um, Mercury and Scorpio. That okay? When Mercury's there at Scorpio, that's kind of like heavy for Mercury. Cause see, Mercury. Cause see, with Mercury and Scorpio, it's like it makes you dig deep. I will say those people. Let me tell you this: people who have Mercury and Scorpio within their chart, I tell you what, because Mercury is a sign of communication. Mercury represents the eyes. When you like that's part of the facial feature, like it represents the eyes. Not only ways of thinking, but it represents the eyes. I tell you what, a way how you can tell when a person have Mercury and Scorpio in the chart, just look at their eyes. They have like not only determined, but they have like eyes. They have like these type of eyes, like whereas they can look and they can see through you, like it's piercing and gazing in a sense. Like whereas it can look straight through you, or it's like even if you give a look without any effort or reaction, it's like it can cause the other person to react, or it's going to trigger something within that person's shadow. Because Scorpio is about the shadow. Let me give you an example. Look at Kamala Harris. And that, and the work that is good for it is like detective work and being an attorney or a lawyer and things of that nature. It's working with something dealing with the justice system, with crimes and things of that nature, right? Look at Kamala Harris, or a politician, but look at Kamala Harris. It's like if you go back and look at the vice presidential debate from last year, if you look at what she was arguing with Mike Pence, if you look at no before she said anything, when she first sat down, that's when it first started the vice presidential debate. You look at how she was looking like this, and how she was just looking at him. It's like she gave that look like, yeah, I can tell you about the lie. I already know. I can see it. I can tell you about the lie. And for some reason, my I noticed this. Mike Pence had issues from time to time looking at her, like looking back in her face, like looking at her directly in her eyes. I swear I noticed this. I'm like, yeah, that's a Mercury in Scorpio. I will say they can be pretty dangerous within strategic thinking. If you look at it, I think they similar to people who have Mercury in Virgo and Mercury in Aquarius. I think they kind of similar to them. If you, it, but see with Scorpio, see they're more so shrewd with it, and the time just be on point. It's not playing; it's be on point. They know what to tell. They know what to tell you. They know what not to tell you. They know when the time to tell it. That's why I said they're very keen and shrewd when it comes down to timing. Um, and they it's like they know what to bring out and they know what not to bring out and they know the timing what to bring out and what not to bring out, like things of that nature. And they know I like cut corners and stuff like that. No, when it comes down to communication, they can even easily persuade people. You know, um, they kind of like cancers. They kind of like cancers and Leos. They can tend to have the gift of gab. You know, like they can get up all up in people's head. They get all up in people's head and they get what they want and things of that nature. Um, Cause like with Cancer is the moon, rules the moon, and the moon represents the illusions. Um, it represents delusions. Fantasies. Like getting all up in people's head, trying to sway a person, getting all up in people's head. Mercury and Scorpio are good with that. I will say Mercury and Scorpio can represent, and if you go back on my video, one of my videos that I've done, previous videos, this was back in last year, in October, and I predicted that because Mercury represents communication and Scorpio represents the dead, and I said there are spirits that was walking. I was talking about Capitol Hill, and I made a prediction. I was like, spirits. There are spirits that are roaming around up there at the White House, And by the spirits roaming around the White House, those spirits are pretty much gonna. It's like things are gonna be happening in the divine matter, whereas spirits is gonna be trying to deal with somebody or a particular person up there. Like they may have something to answer to or something, and or it's gonna be some type of conflict that goes down that's gonna happen. And I say it's gonna happen between December and January of January early this year, or late December of last year, after the election that had taken place. And I be doggone if I didn't lie, and it happened in January because because it's stated Mercury is communication, and Scorpio represents, and Scorpio also represents the Scorpio also represents like the astral realm, or the astral realm, or it's another term I'm trying to come up for it as well. Um, what is that term I'm trying to come up for it? They can even represent beings external to us as well, but it's for transformational purposes though. Because I stated before, as you when you encounter Scorpio or somebody with a lot of Scorpio in the chart, just like we encounter somebody with a lot of Neptune in their chart, or Uranus energy in their chart, when you encounter people with those energies in the chart, it's for transformational purposes. Because those are outer planets. The outer planets represents those are beings external to us. Those are like beings that are external to us. But it's for transformational purposes though. It's something important we're supposed to learn, or they're gonna help us with. You know. Um is it the astral realm, or is the astral plane? It's something. Is it the celestial plane? I think it's the celestial plane. Is one of the two. That's what Scorpio represents. Also the underworld, things that people tend to suppress and want to overlook. Even when it comes down to things that are quote unquote considered taboo by law, or by moralistic, or by law. That's what it is. That's what Mercury and Scorpio represents as well. I will say back here during the time last year when Mercury went retrograde in Scorpio, I'm not gonna ever forget this. When Mercury went retrograde in Scorpio, one of the things happened where I had I had got caught I had got something in the mail, and I looked, so I opened up an envelope. I seen something from the courthouse. I'm like, what's from the courthouse? From the county judge. So I looked, and I seen I was called for jury duty. That's on that's on Mercury and Scorpio. That is on Mercury and Scorpio. When jury duty. So I got that, and I went to jury duty on the date that I was told I had to go on. I went to jury duty, but the good thing about it is that we did not have to really be in jury duty, because it was some cases. One person did not show up for one case, and the other case, I guess it was settled or something like that. But it was a person did not show up for one case. So they didn't need a jury for that either. So we went home. Of course, they sent us out a little check or whatever, especially pay us for the distance that we had to travel. So, but I will say that was one of the things I experienced when Mercury was in Scorpio, when Mercury was retrograde in Scorpio last year, whereas I got called for jury duty. So, so yeah, um, so I had experienced that. Um, But on the other hand, but that's definitely Mercury and Scorpio. Also, another point I want to make, I did not make this point in the Scorpio video the other night. Majority of the times, people who have a lot of Scorpio in their chart, they probably experience being sexually touched at an early age, or probably got Scorpio somewhere in an important major placement in their chart. They probably experience being touched at an early, like sexually. They probably experience sex of some sort at an early age, or some type of abuse, or some type of sexual pleasure at a real early age that's considered like morally inappropriate. You know, Meaning that let's say like they like a person like a child may have experienced something with an older person at an early age. Like they probably maybe about around 5 or 7 or something like that, or even maybe 10. Scorpio can represent those things because it can represent roads that we go down that nobody cannot imagine. Of course, it's the underworld, and that's mystery. Roads that we go down that nobody cannot imagine. But when you go down the road, when you go down the road, you're gonna trust me. You're gonna when you make it out, you gotta make it out in a very profound, transformative way. That's the thing. It's like a road people may fear going and never thought of going, or they may be enticed into going, or seduced into going. Because the thing about Mercury and Scorpio, they're great with seduction. And see, seduction is not only just sex. When people hear about seducing somebody, they always think about sex. No, it's not just about sex as a broad term. In different philosophical ways to look at it, because you got seduction in terms of style of communication, you got seduction in terms of manipulation. It's different. It's all different types of seduction. Seduction mentally, seduction emotionally, is all different types of seduction. So they're good with that. They're very good when it comes down to seducing. And then they can tend to see things that people don't see. See, that's what like occultists and stuff come in at. They sit back in the shadow and they tend to look at things, or they tend to sit back in the dark and look at things, but don't say nothing. But they pretty much already know and see what's going on. And when it come out, they know exactly the right time to bring it out. And when they bring it out, they're gonna bring it out in depth. Because Mercury and Scorpio people, they like depth. If there's no depth, if they cannot have a deep conversation with you, or if you showing them that you're not interested, or if they feel you're not interested in a deep conversation, guess what? They're not gonna bother. Mm-mm. They're not gonna bother. They're not gonna bother to stick around. Really want to stick around and have the conversation with you. They're not. They're not gonna bother. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. They're not gonna bother at all because it's too shallow. That's why I said Mercury does not do well in Scorpio. Cause Mercury don't like all the depth. It doesn't like all the depth. It like superficial conversations and things of that nature. But Mercury don't like all the depth. So, um, but yeah, so this why I wanted to because Mercury and Scorpio also represents the spirits that we're protected by, that we're connected with, that we're protected by. It also can represent our ancestors, just like Mercury Capricorn. It can also represent our ancestors. Capricorn itself represents ancestors, the past and the ancestors, but it can also represent, us having a divine connection to our ancestors, like people who have passed away in our family, like our parents or great grandparents or whatever, and they became ancestor, and we're being watched over, heavily guided, divinely protected by those ancestors, and divinely supported. You know, especially definitely when we align with our do the spiritual work on ourselves, and we align with our purpose. You know, whatever we're passionate about, what we like to do, whatever we like to enjoy, whatever we enjoy doing. Even though we there'll be times where it's hard work, but I won't just say it's hard work. But even though there's gonna be times where we'll be definitely working, with it, or working hard with it, but it's something that we enjoy doing. That's what that is. So, but as I stated, people at a young age, that's why when they have a lot of Scorpio, even when people have the South Node of Scorpio, because see, when people have the South Node of Scorpio, it can be like situations beyond their control, a lot of times, or they even travel into dark roads that they may not have with that they have the spirits that they had to go down that people cannot imagine going down. You know, you know, it's something that probably had to been broken, probably like some type of generational curse or something that the ancestors is probably afraid to break because of wherever that were, and to break whatever trauma that were or whatever traumatized them. Because he can even represents drugs or abuse and all those things. Um, I will say I talked about the Jupiter and Pisces video. I will say another thing about with Jupiter going to Pisces, but definitely Saturn going to Pisces too, because simply because of the reality checks started taking place. Um, I will say the alcohol sales are gonna go up. The sales on drugs are gonna go up. So the drug distributors and the people who have package stores and stuff, they're gonna make a lot of money at this time, simply because due to people, they're gonna be having a need for or trying to escape, find a way to escape reality, whether it's through alcohol or suicide rates gonna be high at this time too, because people are trying to escape this reality and escape this plane that we're on. And so people they feel like the only way out is suicide. um but on the other hand, people, they're gonna like I said, the drug distributors and people who have own package stores and all those things, or people who like bootleg, drugs and alcohol, they're gonna make a killing at this time. I hate to say it, but they're gonna make a killing in terms of money, in terms of financially. They're gonna be This gonna be a prosperous time for those people. So, because people gonna be trying to not only maybe buy alcohol to have fun with it, it probably become addiction, and not just that, it probably become addiction. While on the other hand, they're probably trying to run for reality and escape the reality of their current state where they are in their life right now, or where their life is at right now, and they're not wanting to take accountability and responsibility for their decisions and the consequences of whatever it is, however their life is. People may tend to get lazy at that time too, you know. So, but I think that's all I have to say about Mercury and Scorpio. I don't think there's anything else. I think that's all right now. So this is my snippet for people who have Mercury and Scorpio. That's, to me, if you ask me, that's like the most dangerous placement. When you really look at it, that's like the most dangerous placement. If I were to rank it, that's like the most dangerous placement. Mercury, people who have Mercury and Scorpio, I don't. Ooh, they're not the one to be played with. I'm gonna tell you right now, those people are not gonna be the one. They're not the one to be played with. Mm 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 mm. No, 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 no. They're not the one to be played with. I know. I said my birthday back in November. No, I'm not a Scorpio. No, I'm a Sagittarius. By the way, Sagittarius sun sign. I'm a Sagittarius. So, but yeah, because yeah, Mercury and Scorpio can represent insurance and insurance claims, and it can represent insurance claim, auto insurance claims, or debt burial insurance. It can represent insurance claims, and those things. It can represent those things as well, and it can represent miscommunication issues too overall. Whereas it can lead to people getting into like dangerous situations, like, or end up in dangerous situations like car accidents, or um because see, people with those places in Scorpio, the reason why they have to go through lessons of power games, because see, Not only they have to learn how to provide that balance, but they have to learn how to really easily see through situations and detect things and see through situations. That's what I teach them about, to see through the deception, and all those things, and how to constantly transform from those situations and regenerate, how to transform for those situations, how to not feel defeated by it, how to continue to move on from it, transform, regenerate from it, how to continue to move on from it and evolve from it, especially at a higher level. And not just that, but even move on to the next thing, you know. But this one I want to come on here talk about with Mercury. When it come down to Mercury and Scorpio, this one I want to come on. This one I want to come on here talk about, because I'm another thing. Like I said, with you with seduction, they can tend to look you in the eye, especially while you're having sex, and it's gonna do something. It can even trigger something within your shadow. They can even tend to that's their way of seducing. And they can also they also good at enticing people. They're good at charming people, but they definitely good. They're definitely good at enticing people. They're good at having a gift of gab. But like I said, they're definitely good at enticing people. They're very good at enticing people. It's more so like someone that have shades on, because they're pretty mysterious. They can tend to be misunderstood because of their style of communication. But people will pretty much understand and see why once after, you know, a situation come. Whereas when they throw out those things at a strategic and timely manner, what they observe or what they learn or whatever, um, because it's about self empowerment as well. And that's another reason why they had to go through power games and all those things that learned about self empowerment and duality. Did you see that movie called? Did you all see that movie called the um? What that movie called with Amari Hardrick and um? What is that movie called? Let me see what that movie called. And Loretta Devine. It was just at the top of my head. Let me see, what is that movie called? I can't remember what that movie called to be right off the bat. Right off the bat. Because I did remember see that movie about with Amari Hardrick when he was in I think some spiritual work got done on him. I think simply because, from my understanding the way how he worked toward his family, and there was like a time with him reflecting on that, you know, and what happened is that he had to break himself out of the situation. He had to break the curse, or he had to break himself out that situation. It's like, okay, this way here is no longer a way of going by with situations anymore. You cannot no longer run from this. You have to face this. You have to do something. You have to face this in a way that makes you feel uncomfortable, but you will feel definitely feel empowered after this, after you face a situation in a different way that you never faced before. You feel even more empowered from it. That's what it is. That's what it is with Mercury and Scorpio. And they also know how to interrogate you as well. Um, and with Mercury and Scorpio, because if you tell them everything, and if you do wrong by them, they can tend to use that. Whatever you told them, or whatever they observe from you, or whatever, they can use that against you, and they can tear you down. They can build you up in a sense, but it's like in a way they have ways of building you up in a sense in terms of like, you know, I would just say building you up, but building you up. Or they can do that when it comes down to strategic thinking and things of that nature. But see, here's the thing too. They don't even have to do anything to really get a rise out of people or anything. Like I said, they could do something strategic. Like if you two been in an argument, and then okay, they let you want that person let them think that you won the argument and gotten over. That Mercury and Scorpio person, they could tend to sit up there and come back later in the argument. They can leave things like, they can leave things like, whereas, for example, especially if they feel that the other person was in the wrong, they just let that person think they won and gotten over it, so they can, whatever they were doing to feed it to a situation, they can stop it, right? And so what happens is that they can come back, okay, or if that person come back around, and that person like that person comes to wonder why is this no longer going on and things of that nature. What happens is that Mercury and Scorpio, they can interrogate that person, and it can make that person really trigger. Like it can make them act differently from what way how they was acting within that argument or whatever the case is. And it's like then somewhere somehow this Mercury Scorpio person may hit a nerve, and it whereas it could pull something out of that person. It can pull something out of that person, and it can pretty much validate what that Scorpio person was thinking, even if they were communicating what they were thinking or not, or what they observed. It can validate it. They got ways of even validating it. I mean, validating it. They got ways of even validating what they're thinking with it without you even knowing what they're thinking or knowing. So they'll have you like in the know or whatever. So but yeah, I'm going over 25 minutes now. But this is my snippet of Mercury and Scorpio. Until next time, peace and blessings.